Hi everyone, Chris here. We're on to the phase 2. I've just completed the building phase of the game that we've been doing a playthrough for. So let me just kind of summarize what happened here. So I have my blueprint completed. I did manage to get a couple of sand trap spaces put down, and then was able to score 9 points. The prior game I wasn't doing very good on sand traps, but here I am, all done. 29 points scored for the score track, and then I only managed to get one feature surrounded, and that was the feature that I purchased from the special bonus box, and I put it right here. So I was really hyper focused on connecting this A to D house, this objective card, which I ended up doing. I slipped in, last minute, I slipped in a water hazard right here. So a good amount of points came from completing the objective and connecting 3 houses. So I got 20 points for connecting a set of 3. I got negative 32 for the rough spaces, so I think it was 16 spaces uncovered, so that was a big hit, negative 32, and then 20 points for completing my objective. I didn't end up using the reward because I really didn't have anywhere to put it that would be of any benefit, and I couldn't put it here because you're not allowed to put features adjacent to another feature. So that would not have helped. I could have put it here and then done one more shape, but I ended up completing this last minute, so didn't really help out. So ended up with 40 points. Not my best showing, I'll say that. But here we go. Let's go on to the building phase, which is easy to do. We're just going to flip over these cards to their light green side. And then I'll cover what the new symbology means. Okay. All right, so the objective for the tournament phase is to come to rest on at least 2 skill point spaces. So I've drawn in several of them. I drew in some here. Of course, I don't want to land in that one because that'll be a penalty. So not a good idea to do that one. Here's one in the tree area, another one in the tree area, and a couple here in the sand area. So if I can land on 2, I could earn 20 points. In addition to earning a skill point. So for example, this skill point space right here is prime because I can land on it, choose the skill that I want to boost, and work towards completing this objective. It's a fairway space, which a fairway space gives me +1 to any die. Okay, so let's just cover a couple of things here. I flipped these cards over. And now you'll see at the bottom here that we have an accuracy check. So I need a 4 die to put here to draft any one of these shapes, but I need to have at least a 4+ to meet the accuracy requirement. So in this case, a 6 is a much more difficult shot to pull off because I'll need an accuracy check of 6. So how does that work? If I was to roll a blue, let's say a blue 6, and I want to choose one of these shapes, my other 2 die needs to total 6, or I could have 1. I could have rolled 2 6s. So in this case, if I wanted to draft this shape here, I would need to have at least one of the dice needs to be yellow, and oops, wasn't that on? It was probably like that. One of the dice needs to be yellow, and the total has to be 6. So that would be a legal placement to draft this shot as my very first tee shot. Okay, coming off the tee box here. Likewise, I could not put it here because none of these are blue, and I could put it here because I have a green. Let's look at this guy here. Occasionally you're going to roll a very bad roll, maybe triple 1s or a 1-1-2. If you just don't want to modify any of the dice, then put all 3 of them here and just hit basically a little chip shot. These 3 dice need to be less than or equal to 5, and then you can hit that 2 space shot. This one is similar to these guys here, except use a size 3, and the accuracy requirement is only 3, which you can do with 1 or 2 dice of any color. So there's no color requirement, and you can do a little chip shot to the right, to the left, or straight. And they have these soft landing symbols indicating that it's the shot's just going to land in that space and not roll to any adjacent space. Like, for example, this guy. This is the position of my ball. I'm going to hit. As soon as I land, I move over 1 space to the left, unless I want to spend a spin skill, which I have 1 left here. If I use a spin skill, then I can point this arrow in any direction, any adjacent space, so I can manipulate where my ball bounces. Likewise, I can cross out a spin symbol to turn that into a bounce arrow, and then I get to choose which direction. Okay, what else? What else? I think that's... Oh, let me talk about what shape does. So often, you're going to want to hit a golf ball, but in this case, the direction is great. I like that, because I'll land over here somewhere. But let's just say, for example, this card is pointed off to the left. That's not great, because as soon as I land, I'll roll into the lake. So I can spend a shape skill to flip a card and then resolve the shot. So that represents, I can, hit the ball with a little bit of hook, or I can hit it with a little bit of slice, and I'd use the shape skill to manipulate that. Power gives you an extra space of distance. So if I'm hitting off the tee box, I would line up my skill symbol with where I'm currently positioned, like that, and that's where I would land, and then I would bounce, right? So if I was to cross out a power skill, I would actually shift that 1 space. So in effect, I'm gaining 1 space of distance. It's my power shot. In that case, I would land, where would I land? I would land here, and then roll over. Okay? And I can use a power, spin, and a shape, all 3 of them, to shift forward, reverse it, and make the arrow point downfield, and I can get a nice big power shot. I can't remember which way this was. I think it was like that. It's important that you keep the position of your cards the way they are when you've placed them in the grid, because the only way to rotate, flip them, or mirror them to the other side is to use your shape skill. All right, let's see how we do. That's the basics of the rules. Maybe I'll just cover what this is. These are described in the rule book, but this little bounce symbol in the water, if I was to land in the water, I would be able to use my bounce and skip that ball over 1 space without going in the dunk. I use that once. But first I need to achieve my objective. Okay, let's roll. That's a pretty good tee shot roll here, and I am in what's considered to be a fairway, so I get to +1. Because if I'm going to do a nice big old tee shot here, I would need to come up with 6. So I would need to choose one of these guys. So that's not bad. This one's better, I think. So you'd go up for, I could land, I'm either going to land in a tree or a rough, and we'll talk about what that means. So let's assign my +1 to the yellow, and then I'm also going to cross out a shape, cross out a shape skill point to increase it 1 more. So now it's a 6. That means I can put my other die right here, which is good, because not all the time am I going to be able to do that. That means I get myself a skill point in the green skill, spin. All right, so I've just drafted this shape. This is my starting point. So 1, 2, 3, 4 over. I'm going to land here, and roll 1. I would say that ending up in the rough is better than ending up in the trees, because in the trees, using any sort of skill point is going to add an additional skill point. So basically 2, I'd have to cross out 2 to use any sort of skill, which is pretty punishing. So, and the rough is just -1 to any one die. So I think that's what I'm going to do. Let's use, that's fine. I'll just use my pen. So I'm just going to put a little dot here where I end up. I land here and I roll 1, and I'll just put a nice dark line to indicate where my ball flight went. All right, that was my first shot. Okay, I need to reduce at least 1 die by 1, and I can't reduce a 1 any further down. So I think I'm going to reduce this one to a 4 so that I can use that. I can make my 4 requirement, 4 accuracy requirement with these 2 dice, and that's probably the one I want to do there, because I can shift it by 1 with my power stroke here. So let's do that. Okay, so I've used a power skill. I'm here, and I shift it 1. So that's where I land. And I have a soft landing symbol, so I get no roll. Yes, I do. I land here and roll 1, because I just used my spin ability. Let's get back in the fairway, because now I get a +1. All right. Here I am. I don't know if I can try and aim for that to get my 20 points. That's going to be pretty much useless because I've already passed all my hazards, pretty much. So that totals 5, and that's a 5. I have no more power skills left. Oh, yeah, I forgot. Let's make this a 4, because I'm in the fairway. That's really helpful. So now I'm tempted. Well, it doesn't really matter because I don't have any more skill points to manipulate that guy. So it really looks like I'm going to be doing this shot here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then bounce. Let's do this guy. All right. And I'll need to use a spin so that my ball ends up here. Okay, out of spin. Getting dicey. That is a terrible, terrible roll. Oh. Yeah, I think I'm going to have to use this guy. I'm in the fairway, so I can give myself I could go 4 or make that a 3. I'll just make that a 4. Do I want to land in the sand? Not really. No, I don't. Really, really, really don't. I'm going to undo that. Let's not increase that guy. Well, I guess we'll just increase this guy. So basically I'm going to go 3. I'll meet my accuracy requirement of 3 or more. And I think I'm just going to do this little hook chippy thingy right here. Not very good. Okay. Boy, I went right around my skill point space. This is a little better. I'll be able to, and I'm on a fairway space, so let's get double fives here. That gives me some options. That's here. This one's good. And I can mirror it, which is what I'm gonna do. So let's go 5, 5. Okay, so I'm gonna get that guy, and I need to flip him with a shape skill. And let's just look at how this looks. I'm gonna end up one short. So I land here and roll here. Do get a blue though. And now when I spend any skill point on the blue track, I'll be able to use it for a plus or minus 1. Or be able to reverse the die. Okay, this should be the last shot. Yeah, there you go. 3. I'm gonna need one of those, so I'll leave that guy behind. There's my 3, so I go whoop, and he goes here, and I am done. I have landed on the green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, not great. I did not get my objective. That was 40. 40 divided by 6 is, I don't know what that is. 40, that's maybe 7-ish, 6.8, we'll call it. I don't have my calculator. So that is not a great score. Typically I'm in the 20s, but I think just for this demonstration purpose, I'm trying to make quick decisions. Yeah, so that the tournament phase is over. I've completed my scoring and I've scored a 6.8. Anything over 20 I think is fantastic from what I can see. And I did not get my objective. A little sad about that. I was so close twice. I could have landed here and I could have landed here and would have got my 20 points, which could really help my score. Okay, we've just completed a game of Doodle-inks. Hope you enjoy it. Be sure to go and download the rules and the print and play files and try the game for yourself. Let me know how it goes. All right, bye.